Thank you, mate.
Try not to annoy you this year.
Not off to I was going to say, it's not off to a good start anyway, Ian, so cut the small talk, mate, and let's get on with it.
Welcome back, guys. We'll start with the broadcast section with no embargo, followed by an embargo section at 10:30 p.m. on Sunday. No live tweeting during the broadcast section, please. Phones on silent and use the microphone provided. Gail.
Afternoon. I know you spoke about signing Solanke on Saturday after the game, but he trained Wednesday and you can do all of the due diligence in the world. There's nothing like seeing him out there and seeing how he reacts to what you've got to say. How's it been and how well is he adapting, and I guess is he ready for Monday?
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, thankfully it's what we expected, you know, he's a top pro, good guy, sort of settled into the dressing room really well. Yeah, footballing wise, yeah, you can see that, you know, he has the attributes that kind of fit in with what we're trying to do. There's still an adjustment period there, obviously, because we play a little bit differently, we train differently, and we've seen that with every new signing that comes in. But, you know, so far he's, yeah, look, he's fit in really well with the group and with training. And, yeah, we've still got a couple of sessions to go, but so far so good.
Good to go on Monday? Will it be good to go on Monday?
Yeah, it should be, yeah.
When I was looking back at the notes from the eve of last season and I said to you, you know, what are your hopes? Where are you at with this team? You said, all I want to do is just get enough players out on the pitch. If we roll through 12 months, how different does the eve of this season feel? And with it, what demands are you now putting on the players? Many of them are your players now, and the expectations that it all brings.
Yeah, I mean, they're always my players, yeah. From the day I took over, they're all my players. Look, it's been a different pre-season, fair to say. You know, I think we feel a lot more settled and I think better prepared for what's ahead. I mean, you know, last year, sort of this time, there was still a lot of unknowns for us. And having said all that, it didn't stop us having a great start to the season. So, you know, it's kind of one of these things where, you know, just because you know, we're more settled, better prepared doesn't guarantee anything. We still got to go out there and produce. But you know, we've had a really, sort of, like I said, solid pre-season. For the most part, everyone's sort of contributed to that. Obviously, we've got some guys in late last week, and guys who are just sort of coming back from long-term injuries. Destiny, Richie, Fraser Foster. But I think this last sort of 7 days, we've had everyone in. You can see that you know, the level of training has gone up again from what it was in pre-season and on tour, and you know, that's really created a really good sort of environment for us. And you know, like I said, we've still got a couple of sessions to go, but pleasing thing is that pretty much everyone on the list is available, and that's going to be important for us. I mean, obviously, you know, right until the international break, we kind of know the fixtures, but after that, you know, Europe starts, Carabao Cup, we're going to have a lot of games, so we're going to need a strong squad. So the next sort of 3 weeks still gives us some time to put some work into guys to get them ready.
And just finally, unfortunate headlines from one of your players this week in Yves Bissouma. He called it a severe lack of judgment. What was your take on the situation? And is there a little bit of a sense of disappointment? Because these are one of the players that you want to step up and lead, you know, this season.
Yeah, look, again, you know, I've been in the game for a long time, and every time situations like this arise, and they do happen, I think I've always tried to sort of look at them in a couple of different ways. One is there's a person involved, and in this case it's Biss, and he's made a really poor decision. And you want to understand that, and you want to try and help him through that. And as a club, you know, what we can do to make sure he doesn't make those kind of choices and decisions in the future. Within that context, there's still sanctions that are involved, and some of those sanctions include education and giving him a clearer understanding of, you know, why he did what he did was how wrong it was, and hopefully through that he comes out of it. You always want to give people an opportunity to kind of learn from their mistakes. The second part of that, he's also a footballer. He's a footballer of this club. he has responsibilities. He has responsibility to the club. He has responsibility to his teammates. He has responsibility to our supporters, everyone associated with the club, and he's failed in those duties. So there's got to be sanctions to that. So he won't be available for Monday. We've suspended him for Monday's game, but beyond that, there's also some trust building that needs to happen between Biss and me and Biss and the group. And that's what he needs to work hard at from now on to try and win that back. And that's got nothing to do with just one game. He may be suspended for one game, but he's going to have to earn that. And hopefully, like I said, the door is open for him, and hopefully we can help him to realise that the decisions he makes impacts more than just him. And as I said, hopefully he allows him to make better decisions moving forward.
Alex.
Ange. Fifth last season, obviously a very good season, but we know you want more. Have you set yourself a target for this season?
I go into every season with the same kind of target of trying to be successful. Starting point for us is, I guess, improvement in our football, improvement in the consistency of our football. As you said, we had a decent season last year. We certainly, improved on the season before just on results alone. But obviously we changed the football, and we had some really good moments, some moments when we had to work really hard to get results, and probably the back end of the season was pretty disappointing for us. So there's a lot in there, but for us, if we can get improvement on that and more consistency, I think gives us an opportunity and a platform to try and achieve something, which is what you're going to every season trying to do.
Leicester, away from home Monday to start the season. Did you see much of them last season, and what kind of game are you expecting?
Yeah, I saw a fair bit of them. Enzo did a fantastic job with them. I kind of knew he'd sort of get them playing a fairly attractive kind of football, so you always kind of look to those kind of teams anyway, and I thought they did really well to bounce back, straight back up. Strong team. Obviously they've had a change of manager now, and Coops is in, and Coops is a good guy. I've got to know him over the last couple of years. Top manager, and always difficult when you lose your job, but I knew he'd come back at some point. And I think it's a really good fit with him and Leicester. He knows what the Premier League's all about, and I think when you play a promoted side in the opening round of the season at their place, it isn't going to be an easy game. The crowd will be up for it. I'm sure there'll be plenty of excitement for them being back in the Premier League. So it's going to be a tough test for us. But at the same time, we saw last year how important it is to try and get off to a positive start in the Premier League, and that's what we're going to be trying to do.
Harry Winks on the opposing team. He was one of the first players to move on last season. Is he a good example of the tough decisions you have to make here?
Yeah, to be fair to Harry, I think that decision was kind of made, before I got here. But I think I said last week, it's part of the process of change. It's not a reflection of, the quality of a footballer because he doesn't fit in at a certain point. But there was no point, like I said, me coming in and sort of tinkering around the edges. I think we had to make significant change. That's what the club wanted, and that's what I've done. It's meant, the squad's changed fairly dramatically from, sort of 12, 13 months ago. But that's the reason I came in, and at the same time, it hasn't. I don't think it's diminished Harry's career. He's back in the Premier League. He had a fantastic season last year. He's an outstanding footballer, and again, like these decisions, like I said, they're not always, probably often, the reflection of a player's ability. It's just timing of things and things moving on. Thank you.
Hi, Ange, how are you?
I'm good, mate.
So your second season, what was the biggest thing that you learnt last season that will change Spurs' fortunes for this season?
Didn't really sort of look at it that way. I think the biggest thing for us is that I think we laid a decent platform and foundation for the team we want to be. I think, I was appointed after a disappointing season, but it wasn't just the results that, the club wanted to change. It wanted to change the way it played its football. So I think we endeavoured to do that. I think we kind of change the course of the way we play. So that's given us a platform now to hopefully improve on that. And if we improve on what we did last year, as I said, it gives us a chance to have some success.
I think VAR will be a big talking point again this season. You were out at the Euros doing a punditry work. In terms of what you saw with the semi-automated offsides working, what is your view on that? And it seems that we're not going to get the in-stadium miking up of the referees. Is that a backward step for you, or are you glad we're not hearing from them?
Look, I mean, we've had meetings with the Premier League, and they've come out as well, and they've sort of spoken about the changes, and I think I welcome those changes. I mean, for me, the key thing is the less disruption we have to the game, the better. That's always kind of been my biggest gripe around VAR has been it materially changed the game with not a great deal of benefit, in my opinion, in terms of decisions, because there was still conjecture around even those decisions. But I think that the changes they're looking to make are positive ones. I think the semi-automated will help because it helps speed up the process of those decisions. They're looking for less intrusion from VAR, which again, I'd much rather leave it in the hands of the referee most of the time, the majority of the time, apart from exceptional circumstances. So I think with VAR, it's here to stay, and whether I like it or not, the reality of it is now is an opportunity to improve that process. I think whenever you bring in something new, there's an opportunity to improve, and I embrace that, and I guess I need to temper my comments a little bit because I've gone pretty hard on VAR, but I kind of also understand that that's an extension of the officials, and I've always been big on not criticising officials, so I've got to sort of also, have a think about the way I kind of talk about VAR now, because it is an extension of us abiding by the rules, but I'm hoping that the changes are positive, because as I said, my sort of core sort of belief around that, it was I don't want the game to change. I still want joy around goals. I want less interruptions, less disruption, so that we can love what we love about the game. And
finally, looks like one of your predecessors is going to be going from club football to international football. Mauricio Pochettino looks like he's going to be named the manager of the United States. You've done international football and club football. What are the differences, and is it what are the frustrations, or is it just the same job, but you see your players less and you get less time to work with those players?
Yeah, no, it's a different job. It's a different role, different skill set. It has, I think, I've mentioned before, international football is, when you're together, everything's really intense. The highs are high, the lows are lows, because every win means you get closer to doing something special. Every loss usually means the end of a tournament. So so it's a different experience. But I've loved that I have experienced that, and I'm sure if that happens, that Poch will. I mean, the US, they're emerging as a nation, and I think they want to take the next step where they can make an impact at a World Cup, and there's definitely talent there. So I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
Hi, Ange. I was just listening to what you were saying, and you were saying that you feel very settled going into the new season, and the pre-season was positive. I just wanted to sort of go into that a bit more and say, what are you looking for from the end of the transfer window? Will that be an unsettling factor, or do you think it might be an exciting end for Tottenham?
Yeah, look, I think while it's open, there's always kind of a little bit of uncertainty about, because there's so many moving parts to it. It's not just there's outgoings, incoming. I mean, but as opposed to last year where there was a lot more moving parts, you're kind of, you're working within a sort of smaller spectrum of uncertainties. Certainly for me, anyway, that I can sort of plan for the season knowing that there's the bulk of the work's been done, and whatever sort of we get from here on in is not going to disrupt us too much, both incoming and outgoing. So from that perspective, I think I said after the weekend I still expect there to be activity, but I think the uncertainty factor is a lot less than last year.
Was that a change when Dominic came in? That was like a major piece that you've added in, and do you expect any more major pieces in of that sort of level? I said last week I don't like speculating around this stuff, but Dom was important, because
Yeah, even though it was settled, it was a tricky pre-season for us because we had the majority of sort of our, back four missing, and we didn't have a striker because Richie was injured as well. We only had young Will, so when you don't have sort of those key elements of, you're trying to build a team. So I thought we sort of managed that really well, but I was super pleased to obviously get Dom back, and that's coincided with Richie coming back. So, from that perspective, it does give us a little bit more of a settled look, what the team's going to look like moving forward. But as I said, there's still, at least 2 press conferences before the window shuts, mate. So
I'll be
talking. That's how I count them, by the way.
You mentioned Richie there. How is he, and how are the injuries in general? You kind of leading on from that.
Yeah, Richie's good. Obviously, he hasn't played at all, so that's the match minutes. We're going to have to try and get that into him over the next few weeks. But he's trained fully. He doesn't feel any effects of the injury, which is really positive for us. And as I said, everyone else is in a really good place. Obviously a few of the guys came in later last week, but even those guys, I think it's probably benefiting us playing on Monday. Still another couple of sessions. We had a really sort of strong session today for a Thursday. If we were playing Saturday, nowhere near as strong as we did, so we could put some really meaningful work into the guys today. So I think having the Monday game helps us, so that, I think most of our guys should be in decent shape come Monday.
Hi, Ange. I want to ask you about Archie Gray. You've used him in so many different positions because he's so versatile. I think centre-back, right-back, number 6. Is he a candidate with Biss out on Monday as a potential number 6 for you this early in his Spurs career, or is something he's got to work towards?
Yeah, no, he's Archie's he settled in really well, and again, great kid, but really sort of strong mindset. I guess we've asked him to play different positions, but he's handled it really well. And part of the attraction of bringing somebody like Archie to our club was, and that's for a number of players we brought in, is that he can play, more than one position, so that when required we can use him in those areas. But he's going really well. Really happy with him, and he's every chance to play on Monday.
Emerson's left the club now. Can I just get a few words from you on him?
Yeah, Emmy, super guy, great pro again, and it's one of those decisions, like I said, you have to make when you're kind of trying to change squads. But really popular amongst the group. Not just because he's a great guy, but he just he didn't play a lot last year, sort of probably in his preferred position, and but you wouldn't know it the way he trained every day. He was the hardest worker at training, and like I said, really, really top guy. He's a guy you'd want to spend time with, and big heart, loved by all, and I think it's a fantastic move for him. He'll love Milan. It's a big club he's gone to, and again, it's one of those, like I said, things that happen in a sort of in football where it's not really a kind of aspersion on him that he's not part of this. It's just that other things aligned, and I think it's a win for him and allows us to sort of continue rebuilding the squad the way I want.
Just quickly on your squad, you've got to register a squad obviously for the Premier League and the Europa League. I think it's in a couple of weeks' time. With the Europa League one especially, it seems to be more difficult, various permutations. Is that something that kind of plays on your mind slightly now in terms of which players you can bring in, which you need to keep, or is it something you just think, I'll deal with that when I cross it?
I think you spend a far more time trying to work that out than I do, mate. I think we'll be fine. We'll have enough players to play. So I guess, look, with those things, I just think if you get caught up in numbers, then the idea is to have a strong enough squad to compete in everything we want to, and you do have to balance that off. But I think with the squad we have at the moment and the kind of the balance of what we're trying to do, I still think we're in a good place to be able to kind of field a strong team and abide by the guidelines.
Okay, we'll go James and then finish this section with George, please.
Hi, Ange. Just one for me, just back on Bissouma, if I can. You said that he needs to rebuild trust with you and with the group. How does he go about doing that?
behaviour, mate. You know, it's quite simple. It's just, you know, him, like I said, making better choices moving forward, and behaviour, you know. You know, he's obviously disappointed, and, you know, he's very apologetic, not just to me, to the club, to everyone involved. But that's just the first part of the process. The next part is behaviour now, you know, of making sure that, like I said, you know, he does the things he needs to do to, like for all of us, you know, if we all make mistakes. It's how you kind of find your way back from those mistakes, and what you do is far more important than what you say.
Thank you.
Finish with George, please.
Hi, Ange. Rodrigo Bento also had a bit of a difficult summer off the field, but he seems to be over those injuries now. I mean, how much are you looking forward to working with almost the real Bento after last year, sort of getting back to that fitness? Yeah,
you know, Rodri, obviously, as you said, I think it's, you know, last year was very much a bit like our season. We had a lot of players very similar, where it was very stop-start at times. You know, he looked really good, sort of got some rhythm, then something would happen, whether it was an injury or some other disruption. So I think for him and the other guys, he obviously went away with Uruguay and sort of got game time there. And I think in terms of his mindset, he was really, I think he's in a much better place of knowing that, you know what, knock on wood, like you said, from an injury perspective, he's free of that. He's 12 months down the track after a significant injury, which always takes a bit of time. And as I said, it's been great to have him back part of the group. And, you know, he came on, obviously, the second half last week, and I thought he looked really good, but he's looked good in training. And, you know, hopefully that's where some of our improvement comes from. You know, guys who last year, you know, for one reason or another, just couldn't get sort of to the levels we know they can. And if we can do that with guys like him and the ones who sort of had good seasons last year, we can improve them as well. You know, that improvement I'm looking for and I'm talking about will be there.
Okay, well,